Thank you, Norm. Or Normie. I'm Paulie. On behalf of my family, I want to thank you for honoring my daddy today with your presence. In East Germany, there's a small town called Kritz, K-Y-R-I-T-Z, where my family can trace its origins. And like many immigrants who arrived in America, their lack of English and documents only listed the town of origins as opposed to their last name. So the English version of Kritz became Kreitz, or translated Kritz from German to English as cross. My daddy's father went by the name Dutch, and my grandmother was Maddie. My dad, as you heard, had 6 brothers and 3 sisters, and he told me lots of great stories of the Depression era times and growing up in New Creek, West Virginia. Daddy or his brothers never had a fishing pole or a net, but their mother would always send them out to go fishing. And so they would go down to New Creek, or New Creek if you live there, and take rocks and funnel the creek down to a little passage. Then they would stand in the cold water and place their hands down at the passage. And as the fish came down and went through that little passage, they would catch them and throw them up on the bank till they had a bucket full to go home for dinner. My father only completed the 10th grade, but he was a brilliant man. Through hard work and determination, by the age of 30, he owned 2 properties, a garage apartment and a double house, which he rented out 2 of them and lived in one. And the rent paid for the mortgage on everything. Daddy never owned a credit card. He never had a car payment and never made a mortgage payment because he didn't have to. He was very focused when it came to finances. Daddy was a very determined man. My Uncle Bob, his younger brother, one of his closest friends, told me how kids used to make fun of Daddy because he stuttered. But Daddy overcame and strengthened his communication skills after he married Mother. He strengthened those skills by arguing with her every day, of which he never won. Daddy loved sports, all sports, and folks don't know, but he was the first basketball coach at Central Assembly of God Church. Up until then, I don't think they thought it was a godly thing to have a basketball team or something, I don't know, but he became the first coach, and he had never coached or led before, so he went up to Fort Hill High School to talk to Coach Paul Green. And he asked Coach Green if he could give him some plays and some assistance. And Coach Green happily gave him a bunch of plays. We only won 2 games, so it wasn't the coach. There you go. Daddy was the hardest working man I knew. After 43 years, as you heard, as a carman on the railroad. In fact, some of my fondest memories is when my mom would make dinner and take me and my sister, and we'd go down to the tracks and go into the trailer, and we'd watch him eat and talk in his walkie-talkie, and then he'd have to go out and work on trains. And it was fun when it was nice weather. Then we'd trot down there and it was freezing cold. But my dad did that for 43 years. After he retired, he helped deliver Meals on Wheels and volunteered at the hospital, and he's been a good friend. I had so many people the last 24 hours that have shared with me stories about my daddy. Daddy never smoked or drank. He modeled a disciplined life and strong faith in God. He attended church, but his favorite preacher was Joel Osteen. He'd watch Joel on TV at least 2 or 3 times a week, and then every time I would call, he'd always tell me, he said, you know, you need to start your message with a good joke like Joel Osteen does, and you'd have a bigger church. Sorry, Daddy, I forgot to start with a joke again today. So, Our family is very grateful for your presence. I'm deeply thankful for my sister Sheila and my brother-in-law Carl for their dedication to Daddy. Up until the last moments of his life, I want to publicly apologize to my nephew Joshua for him being called Paul most of his life. Every time my dad got impatient, he'd look at Joshua and yell at him and call him Paul. I'm sure Joshua has some kind of complex by that. Daddy has joined Mother and his parents and brothers and sisters all in heaven. We love and miss you, Daddy. And we ask you to kiss Mother for us. Thank you.